Well, thanks for joining me today. I've got two guests with me today. On the last episode, you may have recalled that Ellen told us about her impressive progress so far with her journey with reversing rheumatoid arthritis. She was on a lot of prednisone and high-dose methotrexate, sulfasalazine, and using a combination of the Paddison program and Bikram yoga. She's now feeling the best that she's felt in years, throwing her grandkids around like potatoes, and she's only on 15 milligrams now of methotrexate and working with her rheumatologist to lower that even further. So today we've brought her yoga teacher into this call. So I've got Ellen and John on the call. How are you guys today?
Good.
Just fine.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, John. We spent a lot of time with Ellen on the last podcast, and she went into a lot of detail about how Bikram yoga was so helpful for her. Now, perhaps you might want to start by telling us where is your studio, and then go on to explain the first time you saw Ellen coming into class and the kind of condition she was in.
Oh, well, our school is about 50 miles north of the Golden Gate Bridge. We're in Cotati, California. And I think the first time she took class one of our teachers on a Sunday evening. I usually don't teach that class and stuff. But I think my partner was there taking class, and she mentioned about this lady coming. And I think I probably said that when she said, I said, I'm glad she took Laura's class. I probably would have thrown her out and stuff like that. I said, because she had so many problems and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, what can we do for her,
Wow.
And so that's kind of how it started.
Now, Ellen had, suffering from a lot of problems with her knees. So when the first time that you when you led the class with Ellen in it, what did you notice were, there was a lot going on with her body. So could you describe what you remember, how the sort of state that she was in when she took your class?
Well, she was very hesitant about, very cautious about doing a lot of the poses and didn't really want much help or any assistance or, and so I said, that's fine. Just kind of do the best you can and stuff like that, and we'll see kind of how it goes. I was kind of, concerned myself also. And so she was just very hesitant. I guess she had a long history of the arthritis and stuff like that and pain and everything. And so we just kind of went along with it kind of slowly.
Do you get a lot of people coming to your studio in the sort of condition that Ellen was in, with a lot of pain, a lot of joint problems?
We have one nurse lady that's been coming for a long time. Indian lady's been coming, and she's been coming for probably 13, 14 years and stuff like that. And really, it just you have to keep moving and stuff like that. Even if you got pain and the stiffness and the arthritis and the medications and stuff like that, that she has had the surgery on her hands and stuff, the different to release the contraction of her fingers and stuff like that, and so she just has to kind of come and move and stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. So now, when Ellen started making progress, she got really, excited and she was, motivated by the progress that she made. But it is quite slow, isn't it? You've got to go a lot of times to get the results. But what were your observations with Ellen's progress? Sort of how was it clear to you that she was doing well, or were you concerned she might, drop out?
Well, it's like really, it's true with almost everyone that if you do it, you see little improvements. Like Bikram said, if you're willing to accept a little, like 1/16 of an inch movement every time you come, he goes, it'll add up after you come. Like she's been now maybe 170 times now and stuff like that,
Yeah, 174.
Yeah, and so even just a 1/16 of an inch, the range of motion increases and stuff like that, but it's hard to get people to keep coming though when they have kind of complications like what she had originally and stuff.
Well, John, my experience with Bikram is similar to Ellen's. When I first started going to Bikram yoga, I couldn't put any weight on my left knee. It was swollen up like a big cantaloupe. I couldn't straighten it, so it was in a permanent bend like that. So I spent 50 odd classes without being able to do anything of any note during the standing series, which required weight on my left leg. So I just kept going and going and going. Because I would get the relief from each class, and it would then see me through that night. And then by 24 hours later, I'd start to feel the symptoms coming back, and I would go again. And in my studio, one of the owners of the studio, his name's Scott, and he has really, really bad back problems. So I don't remember if it was from an injury or something went wrong, but anyway, his back is such that he has to go every day just to avoid having to have all sorts of bad surgery and everything. Anyway, he just said to me, man, you've just got to go every day. And if you go every day, you can avoid all the problems that are associated with inactivity. You can improve, all of the range of motion of your joints and improve the quality of the joints. And because the actual owner of the studio was such a real person and suffering himself, and he started the studio to help others because of his own experience with his back and the benefits of Bikram, I thought, well, if he has to go every day and he's the owner, then I can go every day as well.
Yeah.
And I did. I used to go. I used to take some days off just because I would get tired, But I would go 5 or 6 days a week, and without it, I couldn't walk. So it was phenomenal for me.
Uh-huh. Well, I had knee surgery myself in 1975, and so I started yoga in 94. And it was 19 years, and so my leg, it wasn't as strong, and it was weaker and numb and inflexible and lacked the range of motion and stuff like that. And I just kind of assumed that that's how it was going to be also, because it was 19 years since my surgery. And then slowly I started to see the progress with mine, wrapping around like an eagle pose and stuff, like getting your toes around and going down for toe stand, doing fixed firm. I couldn't do all those poses. Like I told my students, I couldn't do them either. But then after like 5 or 6 years almost, that knee is fine now. I do toe stand now, 40 years after knee surgery and stuff like that, and wrapped it in eagle pose and stuff like that, and the numbness is all going away, and the range of motion is returning, and also the mental part where you don't really think of it as your bad knee anymore and stuff like that. It's not my gimp leg or my injured leg or my surgery leg or, oh, it's my bad leg, be careful, And that's kind of how I used to feel before, after 20 years of surgery. And so, that's kind of how Bikram kind of got into the yoga too also, was he injured his leg also, and the yoga kind of healed him also,
Yeah, now you got to train with him personally, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I've been curious about. I've read, and I don't know where I read this or the quality of the source, but that his original introduction was into yoga was because he dropped some weights on his knees. Was that correct, or is that just some kind of fable?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, he kind of, he did yoga, and then he kind of went from yoga into more professional weightlifting sports and stuff like that, running and everything. And he was doing some sort of Olympic lift with the weights over his head, and the weight came down and crashed his leg. And the doctor said, "Oh, you're gonna be, you have a leg problems the rest of your life and stuff like that." And so somehow he went back to his original teacher. And his teacher goes, "We'll fix you up." Like I said, you got to go every day, though, for 4 hours a day or whatever it was, And so in 6 months, he said he was, like brand new almost,
Yeah. Some people, may not be familiar with what we're all talking about here and may have joined the, started listening to these podcasts late in the series. What we're talking about here is a set of repeated postures, the same class that you can take anywhere in the world, at every studio around the world that's a Bikram yoga. And what it enables you to do is just move through this sequence of postures. Some of them are breathing exercises. And at the end of the postures, someone with rheumatoid arthritis and inflammatory joint conditions just tremendously feels better. I don't know an exception to this. I've never met someone who hasn't done the 90-minute Bikram class and not felt tremendously better afterwards. So what we're talking about is a hot yoga sequence that's repeated every time, that's 90 minutes long. Now, John, let's talk about Ellen again, or maybe I might ask this question of Ellen. Ellen, how have your knees transformed from doing this class? Do a before and after, a description of your knees now.
Well, before, both knees were swollen when I started, and I was so stiff. I mean, you heard them say they wanted to kick me out. I was so stiff. I mean, really. I mean, like an old lady, like his grandmother, I was really, or maybe your grandmother's pretty good, but I was that bad. So,
Yeah,
I think it was like class 53 or 54, the knee swelling went away, just disappeared. And then up until that, after, it took like 7 to 9 classes before the knee swelling in the right knee started to go down after class. And I think I dragged him, or I told John outside that, look at my knee. It's down, the swelling's down. He goes, oh, yeah, okay, or something like that. And then it kept happening, and then it would go maybe last 2 hours at first, then it would last all night, then it went in the morning, the swelling would come back. But it took 53, 54 classes before it disappeared, the swelling disappeared. And plus, I couldn't grab my leg for the standing bow. That took a long time before I got to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of classes, and I was afraid to do the backward bend. And, everything was related to my knees. I was so chicken about that one pose, and John helped with that one. I finally was able to get into that backward bend. That took really a long time.
The camel pose, you mean?
Yeah, the camel pose. It took me forever to do that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember.
Anyway, my knees were so connected. They're connected to a lot of the postures, especially when you're trying to grab your leg. I still can't quite. I don't look like the other people when I grab my leg.
But she's even trying to kick out and standing forward knee though now, which is really unbelievable and stuff like that.
Well, I've been doing that for quite a while.
It's
and other people don't do it. These young people, they hold their knee. I think, what?
She's made miraculous
You're not even
improvements.
Sick,
It's like, going down to touch the floor, even for starting to toe stand. Slowly she would use a chair to help her balance and stuff and everything. And she slowly worked her way down to the seat of the chair. Then she worked her way down to one hand on the floor.
Oh, that's right.
And it's unbelievable how that little progress, that little quarter of an inch, it's miraculous.
Yeah, it is. It's just a phenomenal class. People ask, what about hot yoga, just various forms of hot yoga versus Bikram yoga? And there's a couple of reasons that's a little bit more problematic. One is that the postures are different every time. Now, that's a positive if you don't have something like RA and you're interested in getting variety and you're interested in learning from different teachers and doing different things. But it's bad if you've got a chronic condition, because you want to know which postures you can push yourself in and which postures you need to sort of, conserve your energy and just be cautious in, because your body has all these strange idiosyncrasies that need to be, catered for. And in that sense, the same postures every time allow you to develop that confidence in yourself and what your body can do. And it's not frightening that you're going to go in there and have someone ask you to do a downward dog when your wrists are inflamed, your elbows can't support your body weight, your shoulders hurt. I mean, you end up sitting out half of the class sometimes. But in the Bikram, you know that at least if you're attempting the posture 100% correctly, then you're getting the benefit. That's true, isn't it, John?
Yeah. Well, when he devised this sequence of poses almost 45 years ago, he was really a yoga therapist before then and stuff like that. And he was seeing people in Japan, on a private basis individually. He said, I was seeing like 200 people a day, did it for almost a year and stuff. He was working like 20 hours a day and stuff, and to try to prove that the yoga worked. But then he said, there's got to be a way to work with 200 people at one time, no matter what the problem is, whether you bring them in a stretcher, in a wheelchair, or they're old or young, or, and we had a girl come for about a year in a wheelchair, and she did phenomenal too, and we used to help her in all the poses. We'd help, you have to move her because she was paralyzed from the waist down and stuff like that. But she did phenomenal. But it really is, it's really yoga therapy. And so when he first devised this sequence of poses, for about 45 years ago, there wasn't really a specifically beginner level class. Like you said, it was always the same way. And it's really yoga therapy. It's not a jazzercise thing or just an aerobic thing or just an exercise. It's a therapy and stuff like that, for what's ever wrong, because you're working the whole body and stuff. And so the whole thing was really thought out specifically because most people are, even myself, I've been coming for 22 years. He goes, you're still a beginner, you want to think you've gotten better and everything, and you're more flexible, and your pain is even my pain too, just from pain from running and riding bike and going to gym and a couple of surgeries and a couple accidents and stuff like that. I tell class all the time that 95% of the pain that I felt 22 years ago as a student, it's gone today at 60 years old. So when I do class now, the pain, he goes, the pain is, we're gonna make the pain go away and stuff like that. That's part of the therapy is to get rid of get the pain out of your body and stuff.
Well, it's very effective, and I like that therapy phrase, because I've often said to my wife, I got to go to rehab. I talk about it like it's a rehabilitation class, or it's some kind of, we had Joseph Encenia on the podcast some time ago. Joseph, I see you nodding your head there. He was a champion, champion yoga student with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis all throughout his teenage years. Got into yoga. Was very, very in a bad state with his juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and became world champion. So he describes Bikram yoga as medicine, because he doesn't need to take any medications. He just goes and takes his medicine every day in the hot room. Yeah. And so he calls it medicine. You call it therapy. I call it rehab. Whatever it is, it's very effective at removing pain. And one of the things that Ellen was so good at doing with her progress was the discipline of going every day. So, Ellen, what got you there every day? Because this isn't easy. This isn't an easy class. It's a very difficult class, and the body just doesn't want to go and do it every day. But when it does, it benefits. So, how do you have that mind over body? How did you do that?
Well, I go 4 times a week is pretty much what I do. So I just if it's a day that I'm good and I just get all my gear together and all my water bottles in my bag, and I do the mindset of I'm gonna go. And I just go, and I try to get there so I can get my spot, of course, which I don't always get. Yeah. I've tried to go in the back again and again, but I don't get to go in the back of the room until the second half. So, but anyway, I know it's going to help me. So it's from the first class, it's been such a significant improvement in my arthritis, my confidence, my strength. I could, pick the grandkids up now. One of them, I can pick one of them up. The other 2, I can lift them up, I think, to waist high. And just I am standing up straighter. I hear people saying you look good. I can't believe how far you've come. I'm getting that now from the people at the yoga studio.
Progress.
They cannot believe it.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, I feel good, I get to, it's like, it is the inferno though, that's for sure.
Well, it takes the thinking out of working out your exercise, doesn't it? Each day we think, we all know, everyone knows that exercise is good for us, but a lot of us think, what should we do each day? And should I go for a walk? Should I do that? But if you've scheduled this 4 times a week, it's part of your routine, like having breakfast, having lunch, and on a Wednesday and Thursday and whatever day, you go to yoga, and that's what you do. As soon as it's scheduled and it becomes part of your habit and part of your routine, it takes the thinking out of it. And when you're not consuming energy about wondering what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, then it becomes easy, and you mechanically go to the class without debating every time, should I be going? How does my body feel? Am I tired enough? Because the brain doesn't want to go half the time because it feels like too much work. So it's that discipline of scheduling it and following through with it. But
I think I schedule it in my head. I don't really write it down.
But I think that it's just it is really one of the most ultimate forms of exercise, because it also has the cardiovascular component. I think that it's just so important to get that heart rate up. John, I think they've done some studies about I think that consume something like 800 or 900 calories per class. It's a very exhaustive class, isn't it? It's like doing a long run or something.
Yeah, there are. Matter of fact, some of the funky door schools and the one in Berkeley, I think they have a really nice chart. It's a big chart, and someone's done a study that I think it's depending on the intensity of how hard you work, how healthy you are, how hard you push. It's somewhere between maybe 300 to 600 calories, but they're talking about the water loss and the body temperature, and they show a graph of the poses and the heartbeat going up and the heartbeat coming down, the body temperature kind of going up a little bit. And it's surprising the body temperature really doesn't go up very much, maybe a degree and a half. But then you have the little pause in between poses. And my partner, we have 3 little kids now. One's 1 and one's 4 and one's 5.5 now. We have 3 children now too, the old guy that I am and stuff. And my partner, she also teaches the yoga too, and she's done the yoga till like the day before her babies. They were all home births too and stuff like that. And so it's, some doctors, most doctors don't. Oh, the heat, you better watch out for the heat and stuff like that, And we never had any problem, because there is a pregnancy series too, which is kind of slight modification. So really, you don't really push as hard as the normal people do and stuff like that. And the whole thing about going a little slower and taking your time and breathing in, because everyone goes at their own pace, and you're supposed to kind of monitor yourself and not push too hard. And even for whether the different conditions, different age groups and stuff like that, And they encourage you to stop and take a little break so that's kind of how you pace yourself.
So I'm just going to throw some yes/no questions at you that you can answer a little bit in more of a longer form if you want. And I haven't written these down, but I'm just going to try and play devil's advocate for people who have got maybe some objections or last concerns. Like, what if someone's in a really, really bad way and they've never done yoga, they're scared, they might be either elderly or frail or in so much pain they need someone to drive them to the class. Should they come?
Sure, yeah. We have a gentleman class. He's 79 years old, and he just started doing the yoga. And you just go a little slower. At our school, we give people a chair to hold on to, too, to help them balance and stuff like that, And we've always kind of done that, I think we're the only school probably in the world that does it, But we let people use a chair to hold on to the balance and stuff like that, And so John's 79. He's been now coming for almost 4 months. And he's a miracle too, like the guy, just for being stiff and tight and flexible, and the cardiovascular part, and just kind of getting used to the sweat and everything like that, And so yeah, but like it's like what Bikram said, the people that need the yoga the most are the hardest ones to get to come and do it. I asked him one time down in Beverly Hills there one time when I was taking training class there 20 years ago, and we were doing class there. And there was only about 12 people in class, and so I raised my hand and I said, if you tell me how good the yoga is, I said, but where is everybody? If it's so good for you, where is everybody? And he said, John, the people that need the yoga the most, they're the hardest ones to. It's like with Ellen. It's like I tell my class, I said, I don't know what turned her on. I don't know what got her going. It's like, because some people you talk to and you explain things to them and you show them, and they come one time and you never see them again. And then Ellen, for some reason, she just comes and comes and comes and again and tomorrow and next week. And so I said, I don't really know what it is that you can say or do, or, it has to be like in the personal most, It's got to be.
You have to total desire to get well. It's like it accelerated my healing so much that I wasn't going to stop. No way.
Yeah.
We also put that social.
It's too good of a thing for me to be doing.
Yeah, John.
It would be totally, a big dope if I didn't do it. I just keep going.
Well, that's right.
I'm going to keep going and keep going until I'm an old lady.
We also put a lot of social pressure on Ellen. She's become the sort of the Bikram champion at the moment within our community forum sort of coaching group that we've got. And so right now, there's that social expectation that's placed on her that she's got to keep doing it because she's got to keep inspiring and leading from that point of view. I feel that's powerful too, because it's good to feel that positive pressure and expectation placed on you on an area of your life that really supports you, because then everything's aligned, isn't it? Like, we're expecting her to do it. She's getting results from it. As she said, she'd feel like a big goose if she stopped going. I mean, everything is supporting more yoga, and the more yoga is supporting a better life and a better health. So it's everything's lined up real nice.
And my doctors are okay with it. My mother and sister were so worried. Oh, you're gonna collapse because of the heat. But both my rheumatologist and Dr. Clapper are fine with it. So I've got their support. I don't.
Yeah.
And my husband support. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. The grandkids love it. You're going to yoga,
Yeah, that's cool, huh?
Hey, I'm going. I said I gotta keep strong, so I can come back and see you guys.
Now, what about if someone doesn't have a studio nearby? This is a common question. People are quick to point out, hey, I don't have one near me, so, what should I do? There's a few options, isn't there? I mean, they could either drive a long way to go to class, which becomes impractical and unsustainable. Yeah. What are your thoughts on it? Should they attend a local studio that isn't the Bikram style, or do you recommend they download a Bikram the iTunes recording of Bikram running through his sequence and setting up a hot room? Or, what are your thoughts on their options? What would you do?
Well, I know of one guy, I think he comes down from Washington somewhere up there, some Orcas Island or someplace and stuff like that, and I think his wife goes and takes the ferry in town and does some other kind of yoga, but he likes the Bikram. And so I think he found one of his neighbors had like a walk-in cooler or, on the property, and so he bought the walk-in cooler and put a mirror in there and got a couple little heaters, and I mean, it's extreme and stuff, but he comes in for the yoga journal for the conference once a year and stuff, and he'll stop at our school and they'll record my class and stuff because he just has the Bikram CD downloaded or whatever it is, It's nice to have a school and a class and a teacher close by and stuff like that. And I did yoga in Chicago a long time ago when the first girl started teaching yoga in Chicago, and she just had a little room. We used to come into her living room, and she had a couple space heaters, and we had the sliding glass door from her closet and stuff like that, And so it is impractical, and with the cost of gasoline now driving around, you can't do it and stuff. But really, the Bikram yoga, that's really the sequence of poses. It really is. It's the best sequence of poses. It's like Bikram said, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it and stuff like that. And it really was thought out scientifically and medically and anatomically to be therapy, and it's the real yoga as far as the characteristics of what real yoga is and stuff like that, the timing, the breathing, the savasana between the poses and stuff. And he said, this is the best sequence of poses for the body and for the mind. It is. It's why I've been doing it for 22 years myself now,
What I often do is, even when I go to the gym, I'll do the standing series by myself, just in the mirror, without the heat, without anyone. I know it so well now from having done hundreds of classes, and I enjoy it, and it's easy to move through on my own. I think that at the stage that I'm at now is quite different than the stage that a lot of people are at who are listening to this, which have the inflammation and aren't familiar with the postures. It's really important to, if you have a class nearby, a studio nearby, to go to the studio. There's no doubt about it. It's, I've even told people, and will continue to tell people, that if they've got no other option and they're in so much pain and the dietary work isn't getting them to where they need to be for whatever reasons, and they're just immobile, they're incapable of doing any other form of exercise, then if it's financially feasible, just go somewhere where you can stay fairly cost affordably near a Bikram studio for 1 month and follow the way of eating that I recommend, and go to that class every day. And after a month, when you return home again, you will be able to be at a higher level of flexibility and maybe even be able to do some other form of exercise then that just gets you out of the rut. Just go and put yourself near a Bikram class and treat that as your little 1 month rehabilitation session. Just get it done, because if you follow the way of eating and do the Bikram every single day, it's almost impossible not to get better. You have to improve. You cannot not improve.
Yeah, I had a girl in class one time in Walnut Creek about 12 years ago, and we were doing fixed firm pose, and I looked over and the girl wasn't doing the fixed firm pose, and so I said, well, how come you're not doing the fixed firm pose? And she goes, oh, my doctor told me not to do that pose. And I said, how? She goes, I had knee surgery, and I pulled up my pants. I said, I got knee surgery too and stuff. I showed her my big scar and stuff, and she said, well, my doctor told me not to do that pose. And I told her, I said, my doctor told me to eventually, he would like me to regain, because the surgery is good, you're young, you're healthy, you're going to heal it. He goes, that part of the proper healing is to regain your range of motion. And so he goes, I would like you to be able to do that pose someday. And so she goes to me, she goes, my doctor did knees for the 49ers. And I said, well, my doctor did knees for the Chicago Bears and stuff, And I said, some doctors are just more aggressive than other doctors. The therapy, what they're trying to do, their belief in what their art, their skill, And I said, so your doctor told you not to do it and you can't do it. And I said, my doctor told me, he said, someday I would like you to be able to do it, and I can do it. And I said, now which doctor do you want? I never saw her again.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, so some, and so, but like I said, it was 20 years after surgery I couldn't do fixed firm pose though, but it was 5 years after yoga I could do it now.
There you go. Yeah.
And so it was. I told her, I said I couldn't do it either. My knee was all messed up still too, 20 years after surgery, and because I didn't do enough therapy. Enough of the proper therapy, to regain the strength, regain the motion, to really work to break open the scar tissue, all the adhesions, all the fascia, all the stuff. I didn't do it. And that's what happens with most people with back surgery or arthritis or whatever. They don't, Bikram says you have, like he said, you have to do it every day almost, or 4 times every other day. You have to do it for a while and stuff like that, And some people have to do the therapy, like you said, the rest of your life for the different injuries and different conditions and stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I know my knee just, I still cannot sit on between my heels in fixed firm pose. However, my knee feels amazing. So, you don't have to be able to do the posture in its full expression, do you? You just have to attempt it to in its correct manner, and you get the full benefit.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, to kind of wrap this up, people like, you've just got to go to class. You've just got to make it happen and find a class. If all else fails, go to Bikram. That is the answer.
So what time are you in now? You're in Australia, are you?
Yeah. I'm in Australia. We started this call at 11 a.m., so it's now about 11:30 in the morning.
And what school do you go to down there in Australia?
There's a couple. There's one in Bondi Junction, run by Scott and Narelle. That's the one that I did my first 500 classes.
Wow.
And then I've done another couple of hundred in Lane Cove that's owned by a guy called James.
Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know the guys, but
no.
Yeah. So
there's so many now. Like I said, so I was in the third training class. I was like one of the first 90 teachers, and I think he's trained almost 1,100 now, or 12, or 11,000 now, or something like that,
Yeah. Well, he doesn't do the training now, does he? Because he has people do the training for him, I believe.
He kind of has people kind of run a lot of the program for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the guys in our forum, he's making so much progress through Bikram Yoga. He's already talking about becoming a teacher maybe down the track. So we'll see. Sometimes it just really starts to resonate with people, doesn't it? And they just think, this is me. This is definitely what I want to be doing.
I had a girl years ago in a ring, Mary Osborne. She was born with crippling arthritis and stuff like that. And when she first came to class, her fingers were like this, and her big toes under her other toe and her other toes. And she never interlaced her fingers in her life and stuff, never grabbed her foot. And I didn't realize that when she first walked in the room, I didn't see but she was breathing like this, doing the breathing like this. Mm-hmm. I said, oh, you're supposed to interlace your fingers. And she said, well, I can't. My hands are like this. They were like this, And so she was a student for maybe a couple years in Orinda. And so one day I said to her, because I was kind of a new teacher back then, I said, Mary, I said, you need to go see Bikram and go see him. And she goes, what do you mean go see him? I said, go see him and take the training and become a teacher and stuff like that, And she said to me, she goes, well, who will come to my class if I become a teacher? And I said, Mary, they'll all come to your class because you kept going. You hung in there and so she used to I had her make a strap because she couldn't hold her foot and stuff like in bowling pose or whatever, and the double bow on the floor. And so like the next day, I could only taught there like once a week. And the next day I came, she had a strap. It kind of went around her wrist and it was about a foot long. And she could kind of catch her foot then, catch her toe. And I had to balance her because she never balanced on one leg ever in her life. She was about, 24, 25 years old back then and stuff like that, And but she came for a couple years as a student, then she became a teacher and stuff like that, And but it just made great progress with her, But she was on a lot of medication all of her life, though, lots of prednisone and stuff like that, And yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting story.
Can I make a request?
Sure.
I was wondering, John, can you talk about fascia? Is that how you say it? Fascia related to how I'm doing. Does that make sense?
The connective tissue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's people on our forum that are interested in this.
Oh, the fascia part?
Yeah,
part.
sure.
Well, I guess, fascia is connective tissue, and it's invisible, and it goes through your muscles, and it goes through your blood vessels, goes through your joints, and goes through your organs and glands and stuff. It's like a cobweb in your body and stuff like that. And so it just kind of breaks it loose. It kind of softens it, kind of warms it up, and that's again why we add the heat and stuff is to help. Like Bikram said, he goes, you'll open the body up more one time in a hot room than 6 months in cold yoga. And I've tried a couple cold yoga classes before, and they're not very much fun. And because how stiff and tight the average person, how much pain there is trying to do the yoga poses in a cold room or room temperature, or even up to like 85 degrees and stuff, because the Bikram yoga is like about 100 or 105 degrees in the floor and stuff. And so is that kind of what you want me to talk about?
Well, how does it fit into what I'm doing? Like, how are all the poses helping my fascia get better? Or
well, it's soft. It's softening up the body, the blood vessels, and it creates that what Bikram calls a tourniquet effect, right? The blood flow, the wringing out effect. You kind of go into a pose and you squeeze the muscle, you create the tourniquet in the joint and stuff. You cut the blood flow off, and then you come back out the pose and release it, let the blood flow go in again. It's like the high tide, low tide, that effect. And so that's what he says. That's one of the healing mechanisms of the yoga. Is the flushing effect of the muscles, the joint, the lymphatic system, to bring in the fluid. You're trying to. It's like you're wringing out a towel and you let it, you soften it, let it absorb some more water, and you squeeze it again even deeper the second time and stuff. That's why you do the poses twice and stuff. The first pose is always the warm up, and then you're trying to go a little bit deeper. The second pose, if you can, a little bit deeper the second time and stuff. And but a lot of times I think it's more the fascia that blocks the range of motion than the muscle or the ligament or the tendon and stuff like that. It's the fascia, it's the connective tissue that's really kind of like that's hardened or crystallized or lost its range of motion, and you're trying to break up that and soften it and reconfigure that with the muscle movement.
Yeah, I can relate to that. That connective soft tissue around the joint also gets inflamed a lot in the sort of as a friendly fire of the inflammation in the joint when you've got rheumatoid arthritis, and so that area can become weakened and become brittle, and so that what you've just described with the tourniquet effect, I've found very effective. So yeah, I don't think it's like the quad muscle or the glute muscle that's really the problem with its flexibility. Or its integrity for the body. It's the connective tissue around the joint, the little connective stuff that really needs all of the
even myself, when I first started 22 years ago, I used to run and ride bike and go to gym. I couldn't do these poses, and I couldn't really believe how much range of motion I lost from 18 years old to 38 years old. Yeah. I couldn't believe how stiff and tight my body got. I couldn't believe how much pain and scare and emotion and fear were in my mind about my own body. And for some reason, I told class, the mirror told me, he said, John, you might never become good at this yoga, but in the pursuit of trying to do the yoga, you'll become stronger and healthier than ever. It's like that's what my little spirit told me, or some whatever you want to call it, And like Bikram said one time, he goes, John, you'll never become the strongest yogi, the most flexible yogi, but the most important thing over the career of the lifetime of your yoga is that you get a little better, And that's what's happened,
That's it.
Yeah.
That's some really nice words there. And all of us, if we just get a little bit better all the time, 1/16th of an inch, as you've said, John, or whether it be 1% each time you go, which is what I've said in the past, all of these tiny little fractions all add up to a big number. And so if we can keep doing it, we will get results. We don't have to worry about perfect, as they always say. It's yoga practice, not perfect. We're always just students. We're always just practicing. And, the end goal is simply just to keep going and keep trying to improve ourselves. That is the end goal, not to achieve anything at the end. It's just to keep going and keep improving ourselves.
Well, it's surprising from teaching yoga for a long time that the healthy kind of comes in different shapes, colors, and sizes and age categories, and there really isn't one kind of for health. There's different age people, and like Ellen right here is, for what she's doing, really compared to younger people and tougher looking people, it's unbelievable what she's doing, And so it does come in different shapes and colors and sizes and age categories, and she's moving forward again, She's moving forward.
I didn't think I'd ever get flexible again. I never.
Yeah.
In my dreams did I think I'd get this flexible again. Yeah. It's like it is a miracle for me.
When she first went back in camel pose, I said, if you ever go back in camel, it'd be a miracle. It'd be a miracle. Really.
Yeah.
And I told her I wanted a little money in an envelope too, and stuff. I wanted a little pay back there too,
Now I can just go back there, no sweat.
Yeah, right.
True. I'm like back there.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
It is.
But like Bikram says, it's a miracle of hard work. It's a miracle of perseverance. It's a miracle of not giving up.
Right.
That's what he said. And every good student I have in our school, I told my class this morning, I've gone through 100 people to find a good one. For the person that wants to work hard, that wants to get better, that wants to spend the time and the money and the effort, and has the belief you go through 100 people. And I used to have the names too, and I had a big stack of names. I threw them all in the garbage because all those people it's not worth knowing who they are anymore, because they're not coming, they're not doing it, and so it's not worth trying to remember who they are. But for every good student you have, you go through 100 people to find one person that wants to get better.
Yep, it's true. I see.
And so I said, that's the group you want to be in. I told class this morning, that's the group you want. You want to be in that 1%.
Mm-hmm.
That's the group. You don't want to be in the other 99% and stuff like that. And that's.
Mm-hmm. No, we can relate to that entirely with what I do with helping people. Where it takes a certain small percentage of the general public who want to actually take upon themselves to try and improve their life from all aspects, and to adopt a healthier way of eating that isn't straightforward. It isn't easy, but it gets results. It's very.
We had a young girl that started too about the same time as Ellen, a young Indian girl, and she had the arthritis and stuff, but she didn't have the diet thing down. She had a terrible diet thing. That's what she was saying. I don't know exactly.
Food,
And she joined it for the 3 months, paid the money and stuff. I saw her maybe 10 times, and all of a sudden she just stopped coming, And but young, you would have never known she had all the difficulty, all the problems and stuff like that, But she admitted to us one time. She goes, I eat too much chocolate and I don't have a good diet at all and stuff like that. And
yeah, I tried to help her, but she just wasn't ready. I don't think she was ready.
Yeah,
wasn't ready.
Yeah, wasn't ready yet.
Maybe she'll be back.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I always say that those people just aren't in enough pain yet. They just haven't hit rock bottom, because when they hit rock bottom, most people will do whatever it takes. If you're on the, to take it to an absolute extreme level, if someone's on the verge of death, like at the last moment of their life, but they have a choice to avoid death, they'll take that choice, right? Right? And if you get to enough pain from rheumatoid arthritis and your drugs are so bad, you just it gets to the point where like what's life meant anymore to me, then you'll make some good decisions about your health, and you'll go to Bikram Yoga and you'll follow the Paddison program, and then you'll be on the podcast as a guest talking about how good you are. Right. So look, I've really enjoyed this. It was really fun having this chat with both of you. I appreciate it, John. You coming on here. You're doing some great work, my friend, and it's been a real privilege to meet you, because Ellen's said such nice things about your studio and yourself. Nice, yeah. So look, please keep doing what you're doing and look after our Ellen, because she's one of our stars.
I was just real fortunate when I came. I was working out in Arizona this winter about 22 years ago, and I was going to come visit a friend here in California, and I'd never done yoga before. And so I thought, well, maybe when I come out to California, I'll try and find a yoga place and try to see what yoga's all about and stuff, And I kind of read the yoga journal a couple of times. It was kind of confusing. And so I came out here, we were down there at Palo Alto having lunch one day, and we walked out of the restaurant, and right next door was the yoga school, Yoga Source in Palo Alto. And it was Bikram Yoga, beginners welcome anytime. They had a little sign up, hot yoga. I like the heat, and I like to sweat and stuff like that. And beginners welcome anytime. And I came and I did it and stuff. And I knew from the very first time that was good. And back then, 22 years ago, all the yoga was free. And I went to the girl's office, and I put the $12 in her little brass bowl, in her little office, and she said, John, your first class is free. And I told her, I said, you know what, that was good. That was worth paying money for. I said, I'm sure you gave away a lot of free yoga in your time, but I'm going to pay for it because I learned something today. I did. I told her. I said, I'll be back. I'll get my money's worth out of you. But I'm going to pay you because I think you taught me a lesson today and stuff like that. And
yeah,
that was it. One time I learned.
That was it. There's another. Have you met or heard of a lady called Rowena Jane from Australia? Another Bikram champion.
No.
Okay, she actually had a sort of similar kind of experience where she saw an advertisement on a wall. It said Bikram Yoga. She had rheumatoid arthritis. She's walked in there, got her things together and gone back there and started the class and said, that's it. This is what I need to be doing. This has instant connection with what I need for my body, and never looked back. And yoga has been her life ever since. And same sort of story as exactly the same as yourself.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's kind of what Bikram says about the yoga having a strong connection with the cosmic consciousness to see and do the right thing. He says if you do yoga, he goes, you'll change, you'll improve, and you'll see and you'll hear, and your mind you'll reconnect with your proper alignment.
Beautiful. Well, let's leave on those words. And I want to just also say thanks to Ellen for coming back on this one. You didn't get as much airtime on this one, Ellen, where John and I did the most of the talking. But
I'm not worthy to John.
we got to enjoy a lot of your story and words in the last episode. So thanks to both of you, and keep up the great work.
You too, yeah. So because you're the one who inspired her, right?
Oh well,
you got me.
I as I said in the last episode, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. She's the one that took action.
She did too. Yeah, she did. Yeah. Thank you very much, though, for your part.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys.
I'll see ya.
See ya.